How do you handle memorization? Memorization is a pain in the butt. Let's just put it plainly. It's a lot easier to it's a lot quicker to learn something that you don't have to memorize, usually the case with chamber music, but it's a hell of a lot more satisfying to play something that you've memorized and you know well. And on top of that, more and more I find that until I memorize something, I just kind of waste a lot of time with it because you play much better when you actually look at your hands. It's not even about looking at your hands because once you know it by heart, I know it's a C sharp and D. So it's kind of like I'm seeing the piano even though I'm not looking at it. And I did that by memorizing it. So I'm not sure how the connection gets made. Ask some psychologist or someone who's really smart at this, but it could be that you see it on paper. So I see both. I see the score, what it looks like, but I also see what it looks like here without looking at it. And I think that happens by virtue of memorizing it because the first thing that you do is translate what's in the score to what it looks like here. Black keys and white keys in different shapes. Hopefully you're able to identify some of the chords: D flat major, C major, E flat minor, back to D flat major. It's not necessary to know all the chords. But if I, for example, if I have a memory slip all the time, what is that chord? Then I'll identify it. Oh, it's B flat minor. And that really helps with the memorization. The other question of memorization is, at what point do you say, okay, I'm going to memorize it? I'm going to go from learning, from playing what I see here and let's suck it up. Let's learn it by heart. I think maybe it's one of my flaws that I wait too late to memorize something, because once I memorize it, it's like, all right, that's it. It's a lot easier to nail technically difficult things when you know them by heart than when you're looking in the score. There's a good example at the end of this sonata. This part here is very... And if you don't know it by heart, I can't tell you how much time I wasted just because I was too maybe preoccupied with other things than to just memorize that part. So eventually it got to a point where I realized that let's just work on the memorization, where I went through it pretty much systematically. And when I get to that part, it's going to be fine, because now I can practice it. I know it by heart. I don't execute it perfectly. So often when you have things that are jumping around a lot, maybe with octaves, it's really, really hard to be accurate if you're looking at the score. Another example is the, how does it go? Darn it. Haven't played it in too long. The Liszt Sonata. That's it. B flat major, okay. When octave passages like that, it's just, if you're working on accuracy, it's really hard to get there when you have your nose in the score and you're not quite sure what it is. So something happens when you memorize the translation of what it looks like visually in the score to really seeing where it is on the piano, identifying the chords that are problematic in the memory. So when you have some memory problem and you're like, well, that's just an ordinary chord. There isn't even a non-chord tone in there. Okay, it's B flat minor. Then that really helps. So maybe a good thing is just to start memorizing as you learn the piece. You're looking at memory right away. So yeah, that's a good question. Thanks for bringing that up. Memorization. I hope that answers part of it.